Now let's cross the Atlantic and look at the UK. There's chaos there too, involving people of Indian origin. Prime Minister Rishi Sunak has a target on his back. Yesterday, he sacked his Home Secretary, Suella Braverman. And the move has bred discontent in his party, the ruling Conservative Party. They're called the Tories. The first call for Sunak's ouster has arrived, the first no-confidence letter. It was put forth by an MP called Andrea Jenkins. She's a supporter of Suella Braverman, among the 50-odd Tories who fervently support her. And this letter could be the first of many. And if that number hits 53, then Rishi Sunak is in for a fight, meaning 53 letters of no confidence. That's the magic number needed to challenge his prime ministership. But why 53? Because that makes 15% of the ruling party, 15% of the sitting Conservative Party members. Sunak's leadership can be challenged if 15% of his party feels he's not up to the task. So is the Braverman bunch big enough? Can they pull this off? Let's just say it won't be impossible. Rishi Sunak had been on a grace period so far, immune from leadership challenges, but that grace period ended last month, after he completed 1 year in office. Now, reports say he's been told to, quote-unquote, prepare for war. But will it really happen? How likely is it that Rishi Sunak will lose his job? Well, if the recent years are anything to go by, Sunak is probably safe, at least during the confidence vote. His predecessors faced these votes too. Former Prime Ministers of the Conservative Party, Boris Johnson and before him Theresa May, both faced no confidence votes and both of them survived those votes. In fact, the last time a sitting Prime Minister lost a confidence motion in the UK was in 1979, and this was a Labour leader. So Rishi Sunak won't fear the actual vote itself. But considering what happened to Theresa May and Boris Johnson, Sunak should not rest easy. Both leaders stepped down within a year of being challenged, even though they won their confidence votes comfortably, which means that a challenge permanently destabilizes a prime minister. It paves the way for their exit. So now Rishi Sunak will be watching his back, keeping a wary eye on the Braverman bunch, and at the same time trying to win over moderate Tories, which explains his surprising move yesterday. Sunak brought a former Tory Prime Minister out of retirement yesterday. That's David Cameron. He's been appointed the UK's new Foreign Secretary. He's not an elected MP. So Cameron was appointed to the UK House of Lords. And even he admits it's all a bit odd.
Well, I know it's not usual for a Prime Minister to come back in this way, but I believe in public service. The Prime Minister asked me to do this job, and it's a time where we have some daunting challenges as a country.
The UK is definitely facing challenges, but Cameron's return seems to be more about Sunak's challenges than Britain's. You see, David Cameron is seen as a moderate and the complete opposite of the now sacked Suella Braverman. Cameron was anti-Brexit. He championed the push to remain in the EU. He actually resigned in 2016 after the UK voted to leave. And other decisions during his tenure are also considered moderate, like his support for gay marriage. We mentioned this yesterday. Cameron's return may help Rishi Sunak with public perception, but perhaps not as much as he would like.
Well, he can't do any worse than what's currently in position, and maybe he's a mature figurehead that we need at the moment.
I understand from why the Conservative Party probably did that and why Rishi Sunak did that, bringing in an established politician with a reputation and some gravitas, but ultimately I think it's a short-term decision and a short-term option for David Cameron, as I don't necessarily think he or anybody realistically believes they're going to be in power after the next general election. So, yeah, it's a safe pair of hands for realistically what's going to be a temporary job.
The UK is heading for a general election next year. It must be held before January 2025. So 1 year, give or take a month. Rishi Sunak and his party are trailing in opinion polls by as much as 20 percentage points in some polls. So unless there's a miracle, Sunak will be in the opposition next year. The question is, will he lead that opposition or not? Suella Braverman will likely stake a claim, and there will be others too. So David Cameron's return is a play for the Tories as much as for the public. Rishi Sunak wants his party to support him, and he's dangled Cameron in front of the fence-sitters. Will this help him stave off a Braverman challenge? We'll keep you posted on London's Game of Thrones.